Hey y'all, what's up? It's Major Costa Lester. In this video, I want to just tell you the abridged version of everything so that um, I don't spend too much time repeating myself, and hopefully this video will be speech enough, like I've said enough. Okay. In 2012, that's when my ex-husband, our marriage fell apart. Okay. We lived in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, um, and it was some weird stuff going on, what y'all would call gaslighting. Uh, I agree. Um, Basically, there came a point where um, there were people that were acting strangely around us both. Um, so much so that just before I left, my ex-husband started pouring strange fluids into my car. Um, he started getting up in the night at odd hours, moving toward our son's bedroom. Um, just a number of things. And another strange thing that I saw, um, or dealt with rather, was there being a strange voice that came from the attic of our home, and a person yelled into our townhome. So that's just a couple of items. Now, basically, long story short, my ex-husband and I, we left each other. We parted ways back in 2012. I took my son and I moved west toward what was Memphis. I drove off. I left. I took our son and left. I got so creeped out by it all, I just picked up and left. Just before I left, there was a house fire. Um, Basically, they considered it a total loss. It was plenty of furniture and everything still in our home. The only thing that burned up basically was the place where we lived. Um, so anyway, while I had gone left, I stopped on a bridge in Memphis. While I was there, I asked the Lord to take my son because I didn't know what to do about all of it. I walked off, and um, as I was walking, a couple of young ladies in Memphis, they yelled out of the window, "Do you need a ride?" And I said yes. I didn't know that I was so far out from any civilization where I was that I could use a ride back. And when I got this ride, they took me to what was like a friend's house. We waited in the car for a bit, and then they took me to what was Walmart. When I got to Walmart, the first thing I did, I went, found a phone, and called the police. I called the police and told them what had happened to my son. I told them where I had left him. Long story short, they had my son. So, my son, he says to me, because they let me talk to him on the phone. He said to me, he said, "Why'd you leave me on the bridge?" He asked me, and I said, "You know what? I don't know." So from there, I got taken to Memphis Mental Health Institute for an evaluation. They evaluated me. They held me for 2 weeks. I was under an involuntary commitment for 2 weeks. Um, they checked me out and they released me to the streets. Well, long story short, I went back to where I had come from just to make some sense of it all. Um, when I came back to Rocky Mount, my ex-husband, he came out of nowhere and he picked me up. I kid you not. I went, squatted in our own home for a little bit, for one night. And as I was leaving, like I left on foot. But just before, my ex-husband picked me up and took me to what was a room that he was staying in on what was it? It wasn't quite, yeah, it was on 301. And he asked me where was our son, and I refused to tell him. So he got angry, he left. And he left some money and left. So from there, it was just all over the place. But it would appear as though I lost my mind. I didn't. It was just a strange, confusing set of circumstances. I didn't know what to do. We didn't really seem to know what to do. We didn't. And it was just all up in the air. It was like a bunch of confusion just came into our house and ripped our home apart. Okay. So since then, my son, he was in Memphis foster care. During the time that I was in Memphis, Tennessee, um, there was a hearing. They held one um, for a custody hearing when it came down to my son. They were basically trying to figure out where he was going to go. And my mother, she came all the way to Memphis. And when she got there, um, I said to the judge, she just wants my child for welfare. I understood what I was saying. I didn't understand everything about it, but I just, the plan just before we went to court, I was in this lurch with Memphis Mental Health Institute. I'm like, all right, they were trying to figure out where they were going to release me just before. Okay. I said that they released me to the streets. Well, in order to establish that I was going to be okay, they got in contact with my mother, and she said that it was okay. That was the first thing, that me and my son were going home with my mother. Okay. Well, she changed midstream and decided she was just going to take my son. Okay. And that she wasn't going to deal with me. Okay. So